Hola amigos, welcome back to Isolation Libations with your host, me, Joey Joyce. This is episode number 10, the end of the second week. It's Friday, we made it through 2 weeks. That's pretty amazing that we've been doing this for 2 weeks now. And keep going, as long as I don't have real in-person guests, I'll keep making drinks for you guys virtually, and hopefully you're making them too and enjoying them as well. A reminder, these drinks are meant to pair with Brian Chartrand's Happy Half Hour live 5 o'clock West Coast time on Facebook. So Brian Chartrand, all one word there. You'll find the link in the show notes for this as well. So again, I'm making drinks that are somehow inspired by maybe a song Brian is doing, maybe a song he used to do and he doesn't play anymore. We've covered that yesterday. Tonight I'm doing a drink that's inspired by one of my favorite covers that Brian does, New York State of Mind, so the Billy Joel song. Brian does a really cool cover of that on his Sleeping with Giants album. You can stream that on Spotify. Better yet, buy the album. Support musicians, man. We need that music. It's great. So the most famous New York named cocktail got to be the Manhattan, right? Everyone knows the Manhattan. Well, this drink is a play off of a Manhattan. It's called the Red Hook. It was made in 2003 at Milk and Honey Bar in New York City. Enzo Enrico, I believe, was the bartender's name. If you don't know, Red Hook is a neighborhood of Brooklyn in New York. So that classic Manhattan proportion is going to be 2 ounces of rye whiskey and then 1 ounce of sweet vermouth, a couple dashes of bitters in there as well. This drink, it stays with the 2 ounces of rye whiskey, but then takes that sweet vermouth, that 1 ounce, and cuts it in half. And we go half ounce of the Punti Mez, which we used in our Negroni yesterday too. It's a bitter vermouth, right? So it's has a little bit more bitterness than your typical sweet vermouth would. And then for that other half ounce, to kind of help balance out some of that bitter, we're using Luxardo Maraschino liqueur. If you've never had this before, it's a cherry liqueur, but don't let that kind of get in your head that it's like sticky sweet, fake cherry flavored. It's made from a distillate of the Marasca cherry, which is a kind of small tart cherry that's native to Croatia. So they distill that along with some like the branches and leaves of the plant as well. And then they age it for, I'm not sure how long they actually age it, but it's aged in ash barrels. And then they go back after it's aged for a while and then add a little bit of sugar and water to kind of bring it down to proof. I think it's 32% alcohol. And to me, it's a lot more floral than like the fruit part of the cherry. Really good, really fun stuff. It is one of those ingredients, a little, I think, goes a long way. You can overdo it with it. So be gentle. So a half ounce to me is like kind of the most you want to use unless you're doing a last word, and that uses about 3/4 of an ounce of Luxardo. Oh, by the way, how do you like my setup today? It's a little rustic, huh? It's not the most balanced, but hey, why not? This is probably the least New York themed setting you can make a New York themed cocktail in, but hey, you are where you are. All right, so let's see. Another quick word on the Manhattan. If you are experimenting at home, trying to make your own little riffs on a Manhattan, keep in mind that 2-to-1 ratio. That's a really classic proportion, and you can do a lot without going wrong if you just keep that same proportion. So, do 2 ounces, maybe switch out, try a different spirit, but then, you balance it with that 1 ounce of kind of sweet bitter combo. There's a ton of riffs on a Manhattan. There's a ton of cocktails that are really just like a Manhattan proportion and call it a new cocktail. So yeah, play around with that. That's really, really fun. I think that's all I'm gonna say to you right now. If I think of something else, I'll say it. But let's start making this cocktail. Hopefully this stump doesn't crumble and I lose the drink and lose all my ingredients, but it'll be an adventure. We'll find out. So I'm gonna start out with that Luxardo Maraschino, and it's Maraschino, it's not Maraschino. I don't know if that makes me sound pretentious or not, but that's how I'm gonna say it, because it's correct. So half ounce here of this. this lovely liqueur. Yeah, this is a different work surface. I don't think I've ever made a drink on a cocktail stump, a tree stump before. Now it's a cocktail stump. All right, and then the Punti Mez in 1/2 ounce here. So quiet out here. No gunshots yet today. It's unusual. Ah, that's what I remembered. Let's talk about the rye. Why are we using rye? Why not a bourbon? Even though the Punti Mez is has some bitterness to it, it still has sweetness, and this has sweetness. The Luxardo Maraschino liqueur has sweetness too. So you use a bourbon. To me, that's a little bit too much sweet going on. It'll be a little bit out of balance. Using rye, it's a little drier, a little spicier. And again, like using 100 proof, you definitely want to use something that's a little bit higher proof. Like if you were to use just the regular Old Overholt, which is maybe 80 proof, somewhere 80, 85-ish proof, that's going to be a little bit too light to my way of thinking. So you definitely want something that's at least 100 proof. If you have that bonded Old Overholt, that would work real well, or Rittenhouse. I like Rittenhouse in this cocktail a lot as well too, but I would say stick with the rye. If you really wanted to use a bourbon, you might change your proportions. You might kind of cut down some on that Luxardo to kind of minimize some of the sweetness. You could try using like a dry vermouth in there, maybe in conjunction with the Punti Mez. Unless you like things really sweet, you know, like if you like me, I'm really sweet, so, you know, I understand that. Then yeah, use a bourbon. Who am I to judge? All right, hopefully that stays put. And back to our dirty hand in the ice. I was thinking about it. It's really, even this time right now, like the era of hand sanitizing and, you know, don't touch your face, and here I am digging my hand in ice, and after I've been touching this stump and stuff. What kind of example am I setting for the children? It's terrible, terrible. But again, it's all gonna be sanitized from this beautiful alcohol. And it's just me, it's my own germs. But again, with this cooler temperature, you definitely have to stir for a little bit longer because that ice does not want to melt. You kind of help it out, put your hand on there. Your nice dirty hands have been touching the ice. All right, that looks pretty good to me. Let's find out. Hope the stump is clean. I'm putting all my tools on there. You can tell I really care about this stuff. All right, let's hold that. Beautiful. Now, if you have some maraschino cherries, that would be an absolutely appropriate garnish for the Red Hook. I don't have any, and to be honest, I don't think it really needs it. I think just this pure and simple, straight up, beautiful Red Hook is where it's at. So enjoy Brian Chartrand's music tonight. Enjoy New York State of Mind. And yeah, all you guys in New York City, thinking about you guys, man. Stay safe, stay healthy. Can't wait to visit again. Cheers.